Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, May 15. I'm Herman Green with your midday news. Special welcome to those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com. With the chronic water shortage affecting the corporate area and other parts of the island, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced plans to construct a reservoir. Speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, Mr. Holness outlined changes he said will be coming for the Mona Reservoir and Hermitage Dam.
What that means, Mr. Speaker, is that the present facility will have to be expanded. We will have to build a new facility, and the NWC is already scoping that as to what that will cost.
The Prime Minister said those plans are now at the stage of calculating cost. He also stated that the time has come to look at increasing the water storage capacity due to climate change and other factors.
This is not the first time that we have had this crisis. We had it about 3 years ago, and then we had it in 2013. Some people say it's El Nino, but the truth is that our weather patterns have changed, and it is reflected in our rainfall and when we expect to get rainfall and the length of that rainfall. So there are some challenges that we have to bear in mind.
Meanwhile, it's estimated that it will cost the government $1 billion to implement a drought mitigation program. This is for the island's farmers who are now grappling with the effects of the worsening dry spell. That's according to the Jamaica Agricultural Society, JAS. JAS President Lenworth Fulton told our news center that the funds are needed to prevent a major fallout in the agricultural sector in the wake of forecasts that sections of the island are likely to experience a shortage of water for a protracted period.
So you need about $1 billion now to have any impact now. And every year they increase this until most farmers would have had some level of storage. We will give them the training how to conserve water and how to measure what water will be needed for their crops and so on. It would go to buy pond liners. So if a farmer could excavate a pond, we could give him some subsidy on the liner so that he would have water stored there for both his animal and his crops and so on.
There is an urgent call to the Agriculture Ministry from the farmers of the New Forest Duff House Agro Park in Manchester. The farmers say the agro park is losing its value due to challenges to properly market and package their products. One member, however, noted that the park can be brought back to its heyday with support from the government. The farmers are asking for equipment to aid in agro processing, in addition to the facility, which is only equipped for the production of fresh produce. And in the meantime, the opposition Shadow Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Fenton Ferguson, is calling for a partnership to be developed. The Arglina Communications Group and the Jamaica Constabulary Force have signed a memorandum of understanding which will govern a partnership between the media group and the police to enhance road safety. Chief Executive Officer of the Arglina Communications Group, Gary Allen, announced at a media briefing this morning that the media group will be donating $10 million worth of airtime and advertising space on all its platforms for road safety messages.
Every year we have to try and make a mark apart from really just reporting credibly on what is happening around us, and so we try to do things to make a significant difference in the society. And where you have over 400 people every year losing their lives on the streets and thousands more who are being injured, maimed, lives changed forever, we thought that an effort to try and help save lives on the streets is an effort that we have to make. So that really is simply what caused us to do it. We want to save lives and to prevent some of the senseless deaths on our roads.
Last year, 389 people died in motor vehicle crashes. As at yesterday, there were 164 fatalities. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson spoke of the timeliness of the partnership.
Oh, it'll be significant. I mean, really, it's almost it's a partnership with the police force, but this really is a donation to the nation. That's how we see it. It anchors that pillar of road safety that deals with education, awareness, which is a critical pillar. Obviously, we want people to do the right things all the time, even if we are not watching them.
National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang was involved in a motor vehicle crash this morning. It happened in Grants Pen in St. Andrew. TVJ News understands that Dr. Chang was taken to hospital to undergo tests. He did not sustain any visible injuries. However, his close protection security officer was injured and has been getting treatment. The incident happened about 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, speaking in Montego Bay, St. James yesterday, Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang indicated that human trafficking continues to be a challenging concern for the security forces. He indicated that it may be a major contributor to the increase in crimes against children, especially girls.
The Child Protection and Family Services Agency says the frequency of children being abducted and murdered has made their job more difficult. Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says he has noticed the increase.
But it's a very sad occasion when you look at what's happening to our children.
Speaking in Montego Bay on Tuesday, Dr. Chang stated he has been having discussion with the security forces to make operational changes to address and stem the brutal attack on young women and girls. The issue is now high on the security agenda.
And that kind of violence is the other big cause of concern outside of the gangs, because there seems to be a kind of callous incentive approach attack on our children, but in particular young women. I cannot say at this point that all of them are associated with trafficking, but that's also emerging as a major problem, and assault on our young females.
The past few weeks alone have seen several children being murdered. 8-year-old Shante Skyers in Stirling Castle, St. Andrew, 11-year-old Trisha Morris in Woodland, Hanover, Stefika Smith in Four Paths, Clarendon, with others being reported missing. Dr. Chang believes it's the result of the two issues intersecting.
The worst of its kind, which involves the gangs, of course, is human trafficking, which we have to increase our activity on, and we are expanding our capacity there to deal with it, because that is maybe the source of a lot of the disrespect and little regard for the value of the lives of our women. Of course, work has to be done with the Children Advocate and the Child Development Agency.
He says this collaboration will include social intervention to target the challenges children are facing. Prince Moore, TVJ News.
The Parish of Manchester is reporting a reduction in all major crimes since the start of the year. Inspector Denise Butler from the Community Safety and Security Branch of the Manchester Division says figures up to May 4 this year shows that 176 major crimes were committed when compared to the 192 during the same period last year.
For murder, so far we have 15 reported when compared to 8 last year. Shooting, 17 when compared to 18. Rape, we have a spike in rape. We have 12 to date when compared to 8 last year.
Meanwhile, Inspector Butler, who was speaking to residents of the Waltham community earlier this week, is encouraging them to make themselves harder targets for criminals by being alert and being aware of some of the signs of criminals in their communities.
Avoid walking in lonely areas, dark areas at night. Encourage them as well to report strange persons seen in the area. We also find that a lot of the quote-unquote lottery scammers, they will come into the space and they are prepared to pay exorbitant amount for rent, and even go as far as to pay for sometimes the entire year, and persons are warmed up to these things.
Plans are being made to deploy more than 100 doctors to health centers to help ease the burden on hospital casualty areas. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton made the announcement in his post-sectoral press briefing. TVJ's Kalisha Williams reports.
A 10-year strategic plan by the newly named Ministry of Health and Wellness could see more patients stopping at their health centers instead of the hospital. It's a plan which Dr. Christopher Tufton believes will reduce the burden on public hospitals.
We want John Brown or Mary Jane living within 3 miles or 4 miles from their health center to visit their health center as the first stop and not to see the hospital as the one-stop shop, because their health center in their communities would be able to give them appropriate levels of care.
Dr. Tufton pointed out that there's a shortage of bed space in most public hospitals, which sometimes leads to lengthy delays and the sick dying in waiting areas, which is why he believes placing more resources in public health centers could help. First, with the provision of more than 100 doctors over the next few years.
And part of the problem is that we're having citizens bypassing the community health centers because of perceptions of credibility issues. They don't have the doctor only come once every 3 weeks. They don't have the equipment to do the blood pressure check or to test the blood, to draw the blood and so on. So the idea is to change that.
The reality is there are over 300 health centers across the island compared to 24 hospitals, according to information from Statin. For Dr. Tufton, in order to ensure there's a balance in the health sector, the removal of social cases is also important. These cases involve persons who have been abandoned at healthcare facilities with nowhere else to go.
To drive the social case impact home a bit more, let me just say that for every one social case, I am told, that is in a bed for a year, it deprives 49 other patients who would stay 5 days or less in the hospital for care.
Dr. Tufton was speaking at a post-sectoral press briefing on Tuesday. Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
And it's time now for a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In the next edition of the Health Report, we look at the prevalence of diabetes in Jamaica.
But even with the input of these foodstuffs, which are going to provide the energy for everything, you have to use up this, because if you don't use it up, it's going to lay down fat, and fat in your body, especially around your organs, is one of the biggest causes of and aggravator of diabetes. So we want to use up this energy intake that we have been so accustomed to having.
That's the Health Report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. Check your blood sugar level at least twice a day. Follow your meal plan, get regular exercise, and visit your doctor and diabetes healthcare team regularly.
Deputy Secretary General of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Dr. Charmaine Gooden-Monteith, is calling for the rollout of the National Special Education Policy as a matter of urgency. Dr. Gooden-Monteith says the policy has been in the draft stage for some time now, but needs to be finalized.
In Jamaica, you find that because the children are not assessed before they go into the system, they're just there in the classroom. And as the mantra of the Ministry of Education says, every child can learn and every child must learn. And I personally believe in that. And so as a result of that, I decided to do some further research to find out what is it that is, how can we help teachers to be able to cater to the needs of all the children through differentiated instruction, through co-teaching, through mentorship.
Principal lecturer at the Church Teachers College in Mandeville, Karen McMillan-Time, says physical and other resources needed in the classroom to address the issue of children with special needs are not enough.
With training and professional development, teachers are able to understand the needs of children with special needs in the classroom, and this will make inclusion worthwhile. This will make inclusion work. It's very important that we demystify students with special needs. It's very important that we understand that students with special needs are just persons who may learn a little differently, and it's a matter of understanding them and accommodating them in the classroom.
They were at a book launch on special education at the Manchester High School in Mandeville recently. And we go now to news and sports. Jamaica's head coach to the IAAF World Relays, Maurice Wilson, is urging local fans not to panic after the team failed to get a gold medal at the event over the weekend. Members of the team returned to the island on Tuesday.
The country finished second in the standings but got its lowest ever points tally at the event in Yokohama, Japan, on a weekend which saw Jamaica collect only 3 medals. But coach Maurice Wilson says he was impressed with many aspects of the team's performance given the circumstances.
I would have spoken about this from 2017, about our expectations and the transition. We have, I would say, about 80% of youngsters in the team this year, and it is good that they would have gotten the experience. I think we'll be ready for Doha. The team has been preparing steadily. We have used different persons on our relay squads, and we have now been able to see different athletes performing. The team that got the silver medal is a team that did not include Elaine Thompson, Shelley and Fraser Price, and a number of other high-performing athletes. So I know that our local public would have been disappointed, but it's work in progress.
Johan Blake's decision to withdraw from the event was a sore point heading in, and Coach Wilson acknowledges that his absence also played a major role in the results.
Of course, it would have made a great difference, and there are other athletes who have been performing well. Raheem Chambers over the weekend ran 10-0. So obviously, we have a number of athletes that will come into that 4x100 meter pool, and they're going to make a big difference.
Jamaica got silver in the women's 4x1s and the men's 4x4s after originally crossing the line third, with second-placed USA being disqualified, while the women's 4x200 meter team was also upgraded to bronze after the US were disqualified from that event.
And that's your midday news. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the primetime news package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.